After months of work, this Mazdaspeed 3 was finally starting to feel complete. The engine was running, the tuning process had started, and for the first time, I could actually drive the car. But right when everything finally seemed to be coming together, I found out exactly what that ticking noise was. If you haven't seen the series so far, this all started with a $700 Mazdaspeed 3, a car that already blew its second engine before I even bought it. After finding a donor car, I swapped in a $200 used engine, rebuilt and modified parts of the car, fought wiring issues, immobilizer problems, no start conditions, and compression concerns. But after all that, I finally got the car running. Now, the goal was simple: finish the last few details, start tuning the car, and finally enjoy it. So that's exactly where this episode starts. Like you guys mentioned in the comments in the last episode, I started by trying a piston soak to see if I could bring the compression back up in cylinder 4. So there was a decent amount of oil on the spark plug on the cylinder number 4. So I recently got a camera, might as well take a look if there's anything going on in there. I noticed quite a bit of oil inside that cylinder, so clearly oil was getting past the rings. So at this point, the engine's been sitting for almost a week now. So I'm gonna try to start the engine. Before I actually try to start it, I'm just gonna try to crank it over to get as much oil as possible out of the cylinders. All right, so the sound is still prominent, as you can hear. Still not sure if it's just the clutch and flywheel or if it's like something else. Guess we'll find out over time. Then flushed the old oil and replaced it with fresh 5W40. Unfortunately though, the compression didn't improve. After that, I knew the speed desperately needed an alignment, so I adjusted the rear camber, ride height, and toe using a basic string alignment setup. I decided to run 245s all around for this build, which meant I needed more clearance, so I cut and rolled the rear fender lips, then sealed everything with polyurethane to keep rust away. The aftermarket hood struts on the car were completely blown, so I replaced them with a cheap set from Amazon that were actually meant for an F-150, but surprisingly, they work perfectly. Finally, one of the upgrades I'd been looking for the most arrived: Damond Motorsport racing engine mounts. Mazda thought it would be a great idea to add a turbo and over 100 extra horsepower to the Mazda 3 while keeping the same soft factory mounts. Needless to say, if you still have the original mounts on your Speed, it's probably time to replace them. And that's why I upgraded to a full Damond Motorsport engine mount set. Since this car is mainly being built as a weekend and track car, I went with the race bushings. But if you daily your Speeds, Damond also offers softer options. Plus, they come in some pretty nice colors. Always a bonus for the engine bay. Seeing these mounts in person, I instantly knew I made the right choice. The fit and finish are incredible. On top of that, one feature that I do love about these engine mounts is that the bushing is a serviceable item. I think that's a huge win for these engine mounts. If the bushings ever wear out, I can just replace the bushing instead of buying entirely new mounts. Installation was straightforward, and Damond Motorsport has a detailed install guides for all their parts on their website. As I was changing the engine mount, I did realize that I have a coolant leak and a transmission leak. The axle seal, I didn't replace them when I installed the transmission, and clearly it's coming back to haunt me. The clutch needs to be done on this car and the release bearing and stuff, so I'll probably just try to keep topping it off for now until I do the clutch, but the coolant is leaking quite a bit. It seems like it's probably coming from the turbo from what I'm seeing. So it ended up being just a little clip right here. It wasn't on enough. This is how much movement the engine had before with the blown factory engine mounts. And this is after. So a huge thanks again to Damond Motorsport for supporting the build. Another simple mod I was excited to install was this breather oil cap. One of my buddies that owns a Mazdaspeed 3 since new swears by these, so I had to get one. These are pretty neat because they're not fully vented all the time. There is a small ball inside this valve cover breather. Essentially, when there's pressure building up in the crankcase, that's when it pushes the ball upwards, which releases the pressure, and then when there's no pressure, the ball just falls back down. The only downsides I can think of is that it's made for the 2nd gen valve cover, so if you own a 1st gen or CX-7, you'll need to swap valve covers first. Since this project car was already taken apart when I bought it, it was missing tons of little odds and ends, bolts, brackets, all the annoying stuff. So I made a trip to my local pick and pull and grabbed a bunch of missing components. My fender liners were completely torn, so I pulled a set from a regular Mazda 3 and modified them to fit the speed bumper as best as possible. I also reinstalled the rear seat brackets that I had previously borrowed for my blue Mazda 3 before selling it. I still had an airbag light because of the NRG seats. All I was missing were the passenger weight sensors and an airbag resistor on the driver's side. I was also missing a horn, so I picked up a new one off Amazon, somehow cheaper than buying a used one at the junkyard. Okay, next up was another mod I was genuinely excited about. So the next mod is a small but very important mod. I am super excited to get this mod installed on the car, and first of all, it's actually because of one of you guys commented on the last video that mentioned this mod. This is a shifter bushing kit from Contrive Design that Barrett, the owner, sent out for this build. This is the kind of mod that I absolutely love to install just to get things really tight and crisp. I think it just enhances the driving feeling overall. This kit replaces all the worn factory bushings with upgraded pieces designed to exceed OEM specs. Not only does it restore shifter feel, it improves it beyond what the car ever felt like from factory. The install only took about 30 minutes, and Barrett has a detailed install video for both 1st and 2nd gens, which I'll link below. Got the bushings pretty much all installed, and there's like zero play in this. Immediately after installing it, the shifter felt significantly tighter and more connected. Definitely one of those small mods that has a huge impact on how the car feels to drive. The previous owner of this Speed was running a front mount intercooler setup, so the factory ducting that routes air from the grill to the intercooler was removed. Trying to source OEM ducking turned out to be kinda ridiculous. I was able to find one set on eBay for over $100 USD before shipping and duties. So instead, I grabbed some aluminum sheets off Amazon for about $25 Canadian and decided to make my own. It's definitely not the prettiest thing, but it gets the job done. The Mazdaspeed platform isn't the type of car where you can just throw on engine mods and call it a day. Even something as simple as an intake can affect how the car runs. So with everything had changed so far, I knew the car needed a proper tune. That's why I turned once again to Damond Motorsport. They've been tuning this platform for years across all kinds of setups. The tuning process itself is pretty straightforward, but there's a lot of important details that need to be correct beforehand. Damond offers both VersaTune and Cobb tuning options, but I decided to go with VersaTune. The first step was purchasing the full version and syncing it to the ECU. Funny enough, after my previous video, the previous owner reached out and told me that he still had the factory ECU from the car. So now I actually have the matching ECU with the correct VIN number. After reinitializing the immobilizer with ForceScan once again, everything worked perfectly. Before even thinking about tuning though, the most important thing is to make sure the engine itself is healthy, no leaks, no cell, and everything functioning properly. And as you'll see later, well, I probably should have done a little bit more diagnosis on this engine. After getting the upgraded turbo tuning option from Damond Motorsport, I filled out some information about the car, all the mods, and my goals for the tune. Honestly, my goal wasn't crazy horsepower. I just wanted the power band to feel smoother and more balanced, less low-end torque hit and more top-end pull, and something reliable enough to survive track use. To prepare for tuning, I also installed two important supporting mods, a 3-port Mac boost controller and a Bosch 3-bar map sensor. Since both required tuning adjustments anyway, it made sense to install them before starting the process. Once the first base map was loaded onto the car, I started doing some logging. At this point, I wasn't doing any full throttle pulls yet, just gathering airflow data through the MAF sensor. After sending my first log back to Damond Motorsport, our hand noticed that the MAF readings looked off. Turns out I was running a Denso MAF sensor instead of the genuine OEM sensor. After swapping that over and sending another log, things finally started to look promising. Driving the car at this point honestly felt surreal after all the work that had gone into it. Between the responsiveness from the engine mounts and the improved shifter feel, the car already felt incredible, even though I'd only driven it briefly. Once that log checked out, I was cleared to start doing wide open throttle logs. I just had to update a few parameters in VersaTune first to capture the correct data.
Oh, yeah. Holy smokes. Alright. Alright. That was just 12 pounds of boost. Lord. Oh, holy smokes, this thing. Whoa. First off, this thing moves. I'm really impressed on how the car is driving right now. The thing that boggles my mind even more is that we're just really starting with the tuning, getting the car refined right now. So we're not even pushing the car a little bit. The max boost pressure that I just saw was 12.8 PSI. The factory boost pressure for the Mazdaspeed 3 is 15.5. So we're not even at factory boost, and this thing feels pretty quick. Obviously, I don't have a stock Mazdaspeed 3 to compare it to. From my previous experience, granted, it's been a long time since I drove a Mazdaspeed 3. Last time I drove one was about 10 years or so ago, and it was a second gen, so not exactly the same feeling as the first gen, and it was also stock. Not the same experience driving this particular car was. Really excited to see how the tune progresses, where things land for this car. Well, if the tune stayed exactly where it is, I would be honestly really happy with how the car feels and drives.
And this is where the story takes a turn. The car felt great. It still had that ticking noise though. Been trying to figure out ever since getting the engine running, but at this point it was pulling hard, driving smoothly, and honestly, I convinced myself it was probably just the dual mass flywheel making some noise. Since I felt comfortable driving the car on a base tune, I finally got it plated and registered on Friday, so I could finally enjoy it over the weekend. Over the next 2 days, I put around 200 kilometers on the car, and Sunday afternoon, just 2 days after registering it, well, got a bunch of oil. And something exited the block. The engine blew up during a small first gear pull. Rod number 4 went straight through the block. This is actually the first engine I've ever blown. And considering I've owned 2 rotaries in the past, that honestly feels impressive. Still, it meant the Speed 3's drive ended on the back of a tow truck. Looking back now, I probably should have dropped the oil pan and checked the rod bearings before driving the car. It definitely would have been cheaper than replacing another engine. But at the same time, cylinder 4 was already burning a lot of oil. And for a mystery $200 engine, I can't really say I'm upset. And just to be clear, this failure had nothing to do with the tuning process. But you can definitely bet that from now, I'll check the rod bearings.
Well, I know what's the problem with the engine. It's completely blown. Yeah, this engine is 100% dead. Hoping I'll be able to use the head still, but there's a big hole in the back of the block where cylinder 4 was. So I guess that's why I had lower compression, lots of oil going in there, and it just blew up. And I guess we'll find out in the next episode where I take this engine out of this car again. Oh man. Honestly, I'm pretty grateful for where this car took me. It's through the hardships that you learn, and that's exactly what this car made me do. It taught me so many lessons, and it taught me so many things, and I guess I have more learning to do.
Even with how short-lived it was, those 2 days gave me a glimpse of what owning a Mazdaspeed 3 is actually like. The way the turbo spools, the torque these engines make, even on a conservative base tune, the car already felt seriously fast. And honestly, it just made me even more excited to eventually build this car properly. A huge thank you again to Damond Motorsport and Contrive Design for supporting this build. And most importantly, thank you guys for watching the series and constantly sharing advice and feedback throughout the build. I genuinely appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. I guess you can never go wrong with more displacement.